you got to love what you do. I mean, don't get into business. I mean, I owned restaurants. Would I ever own a restaurant again? I love the restaurant business, but I don't know. it's that's a 24-hour. So I mean, that's a very, very time consuming business.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the Local Business Hacks Podcast. I'm your host, Dave Nicolanti, on a mission to help you. This show is here to educate you, inspire you, and most importantly, motivate you to dominate your competition. Whether you're brand new and just opening your doors or looking to level up your existing business, you're in the right spot. Now, let's get this party started and talk some local business hacks. All right, so welcome back, Local Podcast Hacks listeners. Today I have an exciting guest I want you all to meet. I want to introduce you to Steve Waddle, who is the owner and founder of Fork and Knife POS. So Steve, welcome to the call.
Thank you, Dave, for having me on.
Yeah, I appreciate you being here. So Fork and Knife, tell me a little bit about Fork and Knife and who is, I guess we'll start off, I'll give you an opportunity. Let's say we're going on an elevator ride. Give me like your 30 to 45 second pitch on Fork and Knife. Who are you guys?
So Fork and Knife is an Android POS solution that we developed about 5 years ago with a merchant that in the merchant that we wanted to target was small to medium-sized businesses. In those days, the POSs that were out there were all, your Aloha, your traditional Aloha, micros, very expensive systems. And we saw that the small business owner was not using all those features that these big POS companies were doing. So we made a POS that is very robust, but is very easy to use, but most importantly, it's very cost effective.
All right, very good. Very good. So you mentioned that you're going against some competition back then. You mentioned a couple of them. Tell me a little bit about your audience and who do you serve primarily?
Most of our clients, again, are small to medium-sized restaurants. Our number one restaurant are Mexican restaurants. We do sell all over the United States, but they are our number one customer. Again, usually our customers have never owned a POS, so they want simplicity and they want to be able to get data from the system that is going to help them with their everyday process.
So you're doing a lot of work with people and helping them kind of transition to an electronic model.
Correct.
Getting them off of paper, getting them from old school to new school. Very good.
And yeah, correct. And there's tons of merchants out there that are still using the old cash register and paper, and it gets messy, and there's a lot of mistakes that are done.
So that kind of leads. So you're talking about problems that Fork and Knife solves. So you mentioned paper's messy, unorganized. And what are the biggest problems that Fork and Knife can solve? Anything else, or did we kind of hit on those two main ones?
Well, we did a study many years ago, and we found out that a merchant that does not have a POS and transitions over to having a POS, in their first year, the most merchants saw an average of 15% profit increase, and that's due to a few things, such as, number one, it's not going to eliminate theft, but it's going to reduce theft. No ticket, no kitchen ticket, no food. Number two, human error. I mean, you're in the weeds, the server's in the weeds. You gotta add up a check by the calculator, and then you go to the credit card terminal and manually have to put in, let's say, $100, but you're in so much in a rush, you put in $10. The restaurant just lost $90 because of course, the customer's just going to sign and walk away.
Right.
Number three is kitchen efficiency. The kitchen with a kitchen printer or a kitchen display system gets to see the orders a lot more efficiently, and that reduces misorders, and also it makes your kitchen work faster because you don't have to recook plates that didn't go out right the first time, and reduces your waste. So that's why
really interesting. So I'm not a restaurant guy. Obviously you are. So, I mean, a lot of that stuff is kind of foreign to me. I'm kind of shocked. You said 15% increase in revenue generally when you switch to a POS.
Yes.
I wasn't even thinking about theft. I'm sure that's pretty simple to do in a cash business.
It is. And I'm sorry, Dave. And not only that, but I mean, just think of it this way. You order a hamburger and you charge 50 cents extra for the cheese, but you forgot to write it down. If you put it in the POS, again, no ticket, no food. You can't go to the kitchen and scream out and say, oh, give me a side of guacamole. No, I need a ticket. The chef should say, I need a ticket. So you could account for everything.
That is great. Really interesting. So here on local business hacks, we go in our audiences. We have small businesses all across the US, all across the world, people that you'll find on like Main Street USA. So restaurants are obviously one of those big people, but we also do a lot of work with like in the service world. So think health, wellness, fitness. Just kind of thinking about how I'm sure some of those studios are still going on paper the old fashioned way. So some of those same challenges would be relevant to those guys as well. So you still have theft as an issue. So have accounting for everything, human error. So that's absolutely, even for small businesses that aren't in the restaurant world, some version of a POS to make everything electronic, to track everything, absolutely will have an impact. And in the restaurant world, that 15%, that's huge.
That's huge. Yes.
Especially
And accounting. I mean, accounting. The accounting part of it is huge also. I mean, like you said, there are gyms that have to do, monthly subscriptions and payments and stuff like that. You could automate all that with the POS, with the POSs that are out there. I mean, I can't imagine having to do this manually, having to put in 1,000
Right.
subscriptions in every month and then going to QuickBooks and then putting it manually. Oh, it sounds like a nightmare.
So that's how they'd solve it without a POS is the manual aspect. And that sounds like a nightmare to me personally. But I know there are so many companies out there doing that right now. And just think about every small business owner really needs to. I've been a small business owner. I am a small business owner. And I know one thing that's always running through my head is cost versus value. And all small business owners think, well, I can do that myself and save money. So it's something where everyone really needs to value your time as to what time you're putting into it. And hey, if I can write a check and solve a problem, that frees up my time to do more valuable things. So that's really important when you're looking at it from that point of view. So that's awesome stuff. And some things I wasn't even thinking about for how a POS can actually go and increase revenue, increase profit. So back up to that 15%. Did you say it was 15% increase in profit or revenue?
In profit.
Whew, that's even better.
Yeah.
And with restaurants operate on such slim margins. I mean, that's huge.
That awesome. Is huge. It's a game changer for the new businesses that switch over. Definitely.
So tell me a little bit about Fork and Knife. How many clients are you helping out right now, Steve?
We're getting close to 200 clients all over the United States. We launched Fork and Knife. Actually, like I said, we started development 5 years ago and we launched 2 years ago. We're in a lot of states, California, Illinois, Indiana, Georgia, Florida, of course, Texas, huge in Texas. Getting a little bit more into the Northeast now, Washington, D.C. and the New York area.
And you're headquartered down in Florida, right?
We're down here in South Florida. Yes, sir.
Okay. And so that's awesome. You're growing 200 plus clients right now and growing. So over the past 5 years then, and building up this client base and growing, I'm sure you've had a number of success stories. So why don't you share one? Tell me about how transitioning to a POS like Fork and Knife, what type of impact it can have on a business, whether it's about saving time, saving money, life changes, business changes. Tell me a success story about one of your clients. I'd love to hear it.
Well, Fork and Knife, one of the features that we have built in is a cash discount. And with COVID right now that we're going through, especially last year, the hospitality industry got hit very hard. And what we saw is that, the merchants were trying to save as much money as possible anyway, without having to fire people or even close their doors. And the cash discount program really was a game changer for these merchants because it eliminates all their credit card fees. A success story is one of my newest customers here in West Palm Beach, Taco Bus, very successful. I mean, it does great business. And we put in Fork and Knife with the cash discount program into his Taco Bus. And in 4 months, he saved probably close to $10,000, $12,000 in credit card fees. And with that money, he went ahead and actually just purchased another Taco Bus and opened up 10 days ago. And that's a great success story because nowadays with COVID and everything, you don't hear of businesses expanding You hear about them surviving, not
Mhm.
expanding. And so that made us really, really happy, that we could assist the merchant to accomplish this.
That's awesome. So you said something that I want to hear more about this. So you kind of breezed over this. So this whole cash discount thing, Steve. Um, Tell me a little bit about. So you're essentially eliminating the credit card fees for the business,
For the merchant, correct.
for the merchant. How does that work?
So the way it works, and Dave, don't get me wrong, this is a great program, but I don't believe it's a great fit for every single
Sure.
restaurant out there. I believe that this is a great model for small to business size, again, businesses or restaurants that I would say their average ticket sales under $25. And this is the way it works. Basically, it's that the merchant eliminates all their credit card fees, get a zero statement, and the customer is the one that assumes the fee, by adding a small fee to their ticket if they pay by credit card. So for example, hamburger costs $10. You pay with cash, it's $10. But if you pay with credit card, it's $10.40. Those 40 cents then offset the bill for the merchant. And at the end of the month, the merchant saves all that money, which on average, you're looking at about 3%. So if a merchant processes $30,000 a month, he's paying between $900 and $1,000 a month. Now imagine if they're doing 60, 70, $80,000 a month. That's big money. You're talking about $2,500, in 1 year. That's huge. That's a lot of savings that you could do. Again, do I think this is a good model for, let's say, a very expensive steakhouse that you go to and you spend $300-400 with a nice bottle of wine and you get charged $16 for using your credit card? I would probably say no. I would disagree. But if you have your best taco in town that you love and they say, 40-cent charge for using your credit card, I would definitely go back because it's my favorite taco in town. I mean, I'm not gonna be mad about 40 cents. That's the
Right.
way I see it in the industry. And
So
we've applied this to a lot of, again, Mexican restaurants. A lot of diners in the Midwest are doing it. A lot of diners in small towns. I'm talking about population 8,000, 9,000, 10,000. Very small towns that they've embraced the cash discount program really, really well.
that is really interesting. So passing that small cost, and when you look at that credit card processing fee per charge, and it's a very minimal amount. So when you pass it along to the customer, if there's a loyal following, people enjoy going to that restaurant. They've been previous customers, loyal customers want to keep coming back. Customer
Right.
loyalty is huge. Then the customer is not going to scoff at that. It's pretty simple, pretty easy. So that cost gets passed along to the customer. And so literally the merchant, the business, the diner, the restaurant has no credit card processing fees.
No credit card fees at all. And what we do is with Fork and Knife. Fork and Knife has that feature already integrated into the POS, so
Okay.
it does all the calculations for you, and it does reporting for you. Instead of, again, if you didn't have a POS, you'd have to get a calculator, multiply, blah blah blah. It'd be a mess. Um, but that's one of the reasons we've been very successful last year. Is a lot of merchants have switched over from traditional processing to cash discount.
I've heard about that model in the past. What do you know? What other industries uses the cash discount process?
Well, it's been around for, I want to say decades with gas stations. I mean, gas stations have been using it for many, many years. You pay with cash, not all of them, but
Right.
a lot of them have a cash price and a credit card price. If this became legal, and I'm not very familiar I don't understand why the government had to get involved with this, but Congress passed an amendment saying that you can do it in 2015. So it
Okay.
is legal in all 50 states.
Okay. So gas stations have been doing it longer than that, though, haven't they?
Oh, they've been doing it forever.
Okay.
So I don't understand why the government had to get involved in this, but I know it was passed in 2015.
Okay. Do you know any other industries that are using it and benefiting from it?
Other than restaurants, really, I mean, the other ones that I'm not involved with, but I hear a big traction are doctors. The co-payments, dentist offices, They've been doing the cash discount program. They've also embraced the cash discount very, very well. That's a big market right now.
Very interesting. Yeah, that's a great opportunity there for a lot of different businesses, because I know everyone looks at those credit card fees, and all small business owners look at that, and they're always intrigued to talk to the next merchant processor salesman that comes through their door.
Exactly
And
right.
what a way to keep your customers. I mean, you're not charging them a darn thing.
Yeah, I
So all
mean,
you got to
yeah,
worry about is the support.
exactly. And so that's one of the things we do. What our model is, we actually um, fork and knife. We install, we do everything for the customer at no cost if the customer does cash discount with us. We don't charge monthlies. We don't have contracts month to month, et cetera, et cetera. So
Okay.
that's what makes us a little unique in
That's
the
one heck of a
industry.
retention model. I love that. I
Yes.
love that. So Steve, that's pretty darn unique. How did you come up with the idea for Fork and Knife?
Well, fork and knife again, I was in the industry for many, many, many years. And I mean, again, my background is 25 years in the restaurant industry. And I actually, many years ago, I worked for a restaurant, and I knew about computers and POS. And this was a chain of restaurants. And I was a server there. And I looked at that POS, and it was the hardest thing I've ever seen in my life to use. I mean, you needed a degree to learn how to use it. And that's when I started looking into it and saying, what POS is out there? How can we make it simple? We want to make a POS simple enough so the server can put an order in as fast as possible, because that's where they make their money. They've got to flip their tables. Order in, food comes out, customer eats, you flip your table, you make more money. And also for the owner flip tables, you make more money. So it's a win-win situation for if you have a good, fast, efficient POS. And that's what we did. We built it from the ground up. It was a lot of work, but we did a very good job of it.
So by trade, are you a developer by trade? Or
I
well, you
am,
mentioned you've been in the restaurant world, but
yeah, I'm not a programmer. I hired a company, a team, and we've been working together since day one. I am the architect behind it. I'm the one that just said, guys, please do this, change this. I need these features added on or taken off. Um, right now, of course, as you know, Dave, we're trying to work with your company now so we can integrate to your platform, and see because the loyalty is something really big that we see, that's out there. Another aspect or other features we're looking at very closely, and we've actually started development, is self-ordering kiosks, like McDonald's and Starbucks, that now you can place your order yourself, and also apps on the phone, where you can actually sit down and not have a server come up to you. You could order your meal through, or your drink through your phone. But there's a lot of apps out there that do that, but also be able to pay for the meal.
okay.
And that's interesting technology. I mean, again, do I think that's a fit for every restaurant? No, because I'm the type of guy that I want to go to the restaurant and I want to be taken care of. I want the show. I like the show. I
Yep.
order a bottle of wine. I want them to open up the cork, put the cork in front of me. I want to do my little swirl, that kind of thing. When screw caps came out, for wine bottles, I was like, oh my God, there's no show. I was the server in those days. I was like, the show's over for me, because I was
Right.
doing the show and doing all that. Those are restaurants that I don't think that technology is really going to be
Sure.
beneficial. But other restaurants, yeah, I mean, there's so much out there. There really is.
So valuable. That's so cool. So thanks for sharing a little bit about the how you founded it, how you came up with the idea. Let's talk about you for a second. I mean, where do you? I've talked to you a couple different times over the past few months, and you seem to be a pretty upbeat guy and pretty high energy guy. And so, what gets you hyped up? And so, where do you get your energy from? I know you're talking kind of mellow now, but if you've been in some of the conversation I've been with Steve in the past, he's normally a little bit more. I don't want to say boisterous, not like that, but just high energy. So, where do you get that from, Steve?
Oh, I get it, from ideas. I mean, I like taking ideas and getting them done and getting them created. I've always been that way. I mean, like I said, I've been in the restaurant business for many, many years. I've owned lots of liquor stores also. I was liquor store consultant, and I love that part, that aspect of my life. I had owners come to me, give me four walls, and say, "Steve, design the liquor store. Do the POS, do the initial ordering. What wine should I'm a big wino. What wine should we buy? That kind of stuff." And I love doing that. That was maybe a 2-3 month project for me for each liquor store, and then I would get bored. I don't want to work at a liquor store. I want to create it. And that's my passion. I love creating, and I love to see the final product. And that's what keeps me going.
That's awesome. I love hearing that. So, like I mentioned earlier, so our audience here at Local Business Hacks is really all small businesses, all sorts of different industries. Obviously, we talked a little bit restaurant focused things here, but you have a diverse background. So I'm going to pick your brain here for a second. Let's ask you, like, what hack or what tip, what tips, tricks, hack do you have just from based off of your experience that you can share with all business owners right now, whether they're just starting off, whether they're 10 years into it, and just going into your knowledge banks? What information, what knowledge can you share with everybody?
I would give a couple of tips. Number one, no matter what industry you're in, let it be retail or restaurant, always the most important part, in my opinion, is always your inventory. I've seen a lot of merchants out there that, I mean, just have no idea what they have. They might over order. They might not have a product for a special time of year, let it be Valentine's or New Year's or anything like that. And a POS is supposed to make your life easier. It's not supposed to make your life harder. So I can't even think about a liquor store not having a POS. That would blow me away, because it's a very high inventory item. I definitely suggest always have a POS. Let it be, something simple. There's a lot of POS systems out there that accommodate different needs of what your business needs. Number two is I am the type of person that I like to know my numbers. I'm not an accountant, but I do keep my own numbers and revise them, and et cetera, et cetera. I don't need a bookkeeper to tell me what I should be doing. I believe that I should be the first line of defense and be the bookkeeper. And then I'm not an accountant. So then turn my numbers over to the accountant that knows the laws, the taxes, and all that good stuff. Because that's the way I am. But those two, and also you got to love what you do. I mean, don't get in a business. I mean, I owned restaurants. Would I ever own a restaurant again? I love the restaurant business, but I don't know. That's a 24-hour. I mean, that's a very, very time-consuming business. It's fun though. It is fun.
It's a ride. It's a ride.
It is a ride.
So pretty much to sum that up, so pretty much use your tools, and if there are things out there that can make your life easier, no matter what industry you're in,
pay for it. If it's not, it's a well worth investment to, like you said earlier in the program, Dave. It's worth it if you're saving time, energy, and concentrate on maybe building your business instead of spending time on little things that could be automated.
Right. I talk to so many business owners, and they're so focused on saving money that they're doing everything, versus really where, like you said, you're the idea man, bringing something to concept into life. And that's what so many small business owners are, but they get distracted with these little things where their time is so valuable, in my opinion. They need to realize the value of their own time. So use those tools, save your time. And then the other thing is to track your numbers. So you're not an accountant, but you know where everything's at.
And that's know your profit margin. I mean, know your profit margin. Unfortunately, I've talked to a lot of merchants out there, and when it's not my place to be giving suggestions to merchants unless I get to know them really well and become very friendly. But the ones I have become friendly with, I mean, and we go out to dinner or whatever, and it blows me away how many of them I ask a very simple question. how much does it cost you to open up your door every day? And they look at you and they're like, no clue. You have no idea. No,
Mhm.
I have no idea how much. That really blows me away.
Beautiful stuff right there. Use those tools, track your numbers. That's two tips to live by. Absolutely. So, Steve, how can, there's one part of every interview that I love to do because I kind of get to kick my feet up and relax for a little bit, make you do the work. So I'm sure I missed something. So I'll let you come up with a question that I should ask you. So anything that I missed that we can pull from you, any information has been great so far, but any question that I should have asked you that I missed. So give me a question to ask you that you think would be really valuable.
Well, we spoke about a little bit about our future plans with Fork and Knife. But we're also question is after Fork and Knife, or what else are we working on?
So
And
Steve, what's next for you after Fork and Knife? The world needs to know.
we're actually working right now on retail. Just launched the beta testing for retail, and it's going to be more for liquor store, convenience stores scenario, not clothing with matrices and all that. I don't know nothing about that business, so I stick to what I know. And also, we are looking into the marijuana industry
Mhm.
for a POS, although it's very, very competitive right now. And of course, it's not legal. It's still in all 50 states. So, but we're waiting. We're looking into that because we expect it to be legal very soon, and that's going to open up just another industry, another booming industry.
So would that be cash discount for those retail stores in the marijuana world?
It'd be great if the cash discount with the marijuana stores would be amazing. Yes.
Because I think
Yes.
that's where I've actually heard of it before.
Really?
In the past couple, well, probably about 6-7 months ago, in the last fall, I believe, is I was speaking with a CBD supplier, and they were growing into the marijuana side as well. So they're actually looking at different credit card processing options. And they said the
Right.
cash discount is kind of a gray area when it comes to like federal law and stuff like that, how they're
Well,
technically illegal.
no,
Or
yes, correct. Just taking credit cards right now is the problem for the marijuana industry because it's not federally legal, so they can't deposit. They really can't even have a bank account legally. You're not supposed to have a bank account because it's federally controlled.
right.
And so it's a cash business. And interesting stories. I went to uh, Albion, Illinois, about 2 months ago, and my father was actually from that town. I went there for business. I haven't been there in 35 years. Population 2,000, and I go out to dinner with my family, and I see this big white light coming out at nighttime from the ground to the sky. It looked like close encounters. And I asked my cousin, I'm like, what's that? I mean, it's just like this huge light. And she says, well, this is the number one marijuana production company in Illinois. And you got to be kidding me, in a small little town of 2,000 people, and it hires a lot of the local population.
Mhm.
But they were telling me about their what they cannot do and what their problems are is, again, the credit cards. You can't use credit cards. A lot of them get away with it with having ATM machines in there, and the security, because it's such a cash business. You got guys with AK-47s
Yep.
or machine guns standing guard out there because it's a cash business, and it's a big business.
Mm-hmm. Very interesting stuff. So, Steve, this has been awesome. I appreciate all the information you've shared. Help me out. Where can our audience connect with you? Where can we find you? Are you on website, social media?
You could definitely give me a call. My direct line is 305-389-0257, or you could shoot me out an email at stevew@forkandknifepos.com.
Perfect. Perfect, Steve. This has been great. Looking forward to popping this out there and letting everybody share this, letting everybody enjoy this conversation. It's been a good time. I appreciate it. And one other side note, guys, I know this won't be the same day when it's aired when you're listening to it, but Steve was grateful enough to go and do this interview with me on his birthday. So, Steve, happy birthday to you, bud.
Thank you, Dave.
We appreciate you. Hope you have an awesome day, and I look forward to working with you.
Awesome. Thank you, Dave. Thank you, guys. Have a good day.
Right. Wow. So that was just some incredible stuff. So many tips, tricks, and things to implement. Remember, that was a lot of advice that was just shared right there. Advice that every type of business can use. So remember, find those couple of things that are fit for you, figure out a plan, how to implement them, what to do. Don't try and do everything all at once right away. Remember that old saying, that old question, how do you eat an elephant? Well, if you know the phrase, you probably know where I'm going with this, but you can't do everything at one time. Remember, you eat that elephant simply one bite at a time. Set your plan, stick to it. So I want to give thanks to our awesome guest. If you want to find out more about today's topic and guests, make sure to check out our show notes. All the guest information is there on our website, and that website is localbusinesshacks.com. Now, there's a dash between each word, so it's www.local-business-hacks.com. Check that out. And of course, I want to give a big thanks to you for listening. So if you enjoyed this episode, please let us know. Leave a review on whatever service you're listening to this on. And if you have any questions or just want to keep the party going, please join our Facebook group at Local Business Hacks. Till next time, cheers.